ladies and gentlemen, welcome to a very special video. And in this one, I want to talk about John Wick. Not just like the movies and, chapter 4, but also this whole franchise, you know. And and why not start all the way from the beginning? So I don't know, so I've never seen any of the John Wick movies. I know. And then I heard chapter 4 was about to come out in theaters and I was like, you know, might as well. Fuck it. I'll binge watch the whole franchise, and I had a blast. I had blast, but I did have a couple issues. I won't lie. Um, this movie, the first John Wick film, you know, it is hailed as a comeback for Keanu Reeves, whose character played to his acting strengths. The film's mythology of a criminal underworld with all these rituals and these characters and their rules was also praised by the critics as the film's most unique and interesting features in this whole franchise. John Wick is now considered one of the greatest action films ever made, and it led to this huge and successful franchise. With video games and like even comic books, and now we're getting like a spin-off film, Ballerina, and a television series, The Continental, which I think it's a prequel. It's got to be a prequel. Um, so yeah, John Wick 1, the first one, has been influential on action films and is seen as having revitalized the genre and has popularized long single takes with choreographed detailed action. I love the choreographed detailed actions in all of these films. It's one of the highlights, or maybe the highlights of the whole franchise. They don't cut, they just keep going on and on and on. It's brutal, it's badass, it's raw, and I love it. You know, I don't know anything about John Wick, and then before I watch the films, I don't know anything about John Wick. I know Keanu Reeves is John Wick, plays John Wick. It's an action movie. It's like one of the greatest action movies. I've heard people talking about that. I know his dog dies and he gets revenge. I heard all about the dog. That was. I'm glad, like in the actual movie, they didn't show the dog die because I'm sure a lot of people would not have handled that and would be very sensitive to that. Um, but yeah, and you know, John Wick is like a postmodern epic hero in a contemporary epic universe. Um, According to On C. Hall, she said that the John Wick franchise satisfies 5 of the 6 requirements to be classified as an epic. The imposing hero is of national or international importance and legendary significance. The setting is vast. The hero conducts great deeds of valor or superhuman courage. The tale involves powerful forces and characters speak in stylized ways. The way the characters are like speaking different languages, and the subtitles appear in like these cool colors and this weird, unique, in this very awesome and unique way is amazing. Um, it fails the requirement of objectivity because Wick is the protagonist and is genuinely presented positively. She also links the film's narrative to elements of samurai lore, Russian folk tales, and historical epics from Christianity, ancient Greece, Rome, and the Mediterranean. Wayne Wong wrote and said that Reeves have you know collaborated throughout their careers with their choreographers familiar with actions in kung fu films. Uh, And you could say that John Wick can be seen as a synthesis of Eastern and Western action styles. And this movie, the first movie, has created this lasting legacy and has made a cultural influence. John Wick, and I am talking about the first one. I'm still talking about the first one. It's regarded as one of the best action films ever made. Several publications have named it one of the best action films of the 21st centuries and among the best films in Reeves' filmography. And analysts considered John Wick's success to be an example of a cult sleeper hit driven by strong word of mouth and a positive critical receptions from critics and audiences. Its popularity grew following its release on home video and streaming services, increasing support for a sequel, which became a financially and critically successful film series and gave Reeves his most mainstream success since the Matrix films. Keanu Reeves said, "We certainly didn't know when we started on John Wick that it would become like this. We're only getting to tell these stories because of the audience. So thank you." There's been a lot of news articles such as Rolling Stone and Collider that said before John Wick, the action genre has been in decline. Popular film series such as Die Hard and Rambo have been genuinely replaced with forgettable fare that heavily relied on CGI, shaky camera movements, and rapid edits, or a focus on larger-than-life superhuman bouts in superhero films. We've been getting a lot of superhero films. Superhero films, obviously, they have action in them. In contrast, publications describe John Wick as a groundbreaking entry to in the action genre, in part of because of its extensively choreographed sequences and practical effects that were filmed in long takes. Author Ray Morton said that the film revitalized the action genre by combining choreography, video game style visuals, and explicit gore and violence. So yeah, and that's just one. I'm just reading from one paragraph from an article. Those are just examples. And I think Keanu Reeves actually did his own stunts. I believe so. I have to believe it. But I do believe so. But the first film was something very unique. And then I love how, like, in the movies, like, when characters with guns, when they ran out of, bullets or ammo, they, take like a couple minutes to, like, reload, and they don't cut. They don't do anything. They, the characters are putting, like, the bullets back in, and then they start shooting, and then they continue shooting at each other. I love that. I love how they just kept going with the action sequences. And then the second movie happened, and then the third movie happened. And then the film kind of went downhill for me. It was still entertaining. It's still great, but this movie went from, like, hardcore violent action to, like, superhuman with characters that have superhuman abilities. In the third movie, Parabellum, at the end of the movie, John Wick got shot. Spoiler alert, he got shot like a bunch of times, and then he fell. He fell like, oh my god, that building was very high. He fell all the way down. He got hit like twice, and then he landed on the pavement hard. I was like screaming at my TV, like, he should have been dead. Like, in real, I don't care. His suit may be tailored to be bulletproof, but his face, his exposed hands, his exposed face and neck should be fucking, he should have been dead. This whole franchise just went superhero. It just became like John Wick is a superhero. He's invulnerable. The script, he has plot armor, I guess. That's the only reason he's able to survive. You know, so yeah, I kind of it kind of dipped downwards. But it's still enjoyable. Chapter 4 and then chapter 4 came out and it's amazing. I saw this movie came out. John Wick Chapter 4 came out on my birthday, which I was happy. My friends and we went to the movie theaters. We sat down. We saw Chapter 4, and it was and, it's what I expected from a John Wick movie, and we all had a great time with it. And spoiler alert for Chapter 4, it seemed like John Wick is dead at the end of Chapter 4. So, but I mean, I don't really know. Let me see here. Let me read. Lionsgate opted to delay production and solely move forward with Chapter 4. In 2019, Reeves stated he would continue making sequels as long as the films were successful. Said that there was no plans for an immediate sequel, stating, "In our minds, Keanu and I are done for the movement. We're going to give John Wick a rest. I'm sure the studio has a plan. If everyone loves it and it goes kooky, then we'll take a quiet minute." A potential fifth film, blah, I can't speak, was no longer on the table by the time the film was released, in part due to John Wick's death in Chapter 4. Here we go. Stileski, is that how you pronounce his name? I think he's Stileski. I think he's the he's the director. He's the director. Stileski said that the reason he and Reeves abandoned plans for a sequel was his skepticism over his ability to deliver two uniquely special experiences. Excuse me. Lionsgate initially demurred at the duo's plan to retire Reeves' character, but eventually acquiesced. Despite Stilinski and Reeves' insistence on the fate of Wick, Lionsgate president has hinted that a possibility of a fifth film due to Chapter 4's unforeseen level of commercial success, while Stileski stated he was open to a sequel. So, yeah, it seems Keanu Reeves will come back, will reprise his roles as John Wick in their upcoming film, Ballerina, a spin-off of the film set between Chapter 3 and... the movie is set between the events. Also in development is the television, the Continental, will feature younger versions of several John Wick characters. Yen has expressed interest in a spin-off centered on Kane. Okay, so my friends and I, so there you guys have it. There you guys have it. So, yeah. Yeah, so it's a question mark. Let's leave it at that. It's a question mark on the future of the John Wick franchise. On the John Wick franchise. And one of my friend was like, well, my friend of his, the friend of my friend, a friend of my friend, said that I guess the next movie will be all about Donnie Yen's character. He was badass. He was awesome with that sword. He kind of reminded me of Daredevil a little bit, but yeah, there you guys have it. There you guys have it. So yeah. So overall, yeah, the first John Wick movie has a special place in my heart, and it will be, for me, I will remember it as one of the greatest action movies of all time. The first John Wick movie. And then the whole franchise, for me, in my opinion, it went downhill for me. The action sequences were very badass and everything that I love about the first one, but it felt like I was watching a video game. It turned into a video game and superheroes. Like it turned into the franchise turned to a video game and superheroes. It's still entertaining and it's still badass as hell, but I just, yeah. But that's just my opinion. Anyway, if you've seen any of these John Wick films, especially Chapter 4, let me know what you thought about this whole franchise, about 1, 2, 3, 4. What's your favorite John Wick movie? I don't know. I'm just making conversation. Let me know about your thoughts in the comment section below. Thank you so much, everyone, for taking your time to listen to my review. I really do appreciate it. Please like, comment, subscribe, do all of that great stuff, and I will see you in my next video.